The story came from reading about Richmond, Virginia when I was touring there. Initially it was his name that struck me, and then I read into his story and it was this incredible story. I wrote the song that day and performed it that night.
There's no escaping the hot Virginia sun. Tobacco plantation, into slavery he was born.
Henry Box Brown was born near Richmond, Virginia, into slavery in 1816. His wife and children were sold, and he never saw them again.
Who sold his wife and 2 children.
Obviously that would have driven him crazy, and so he decided to try and escape.
Was in a wooden box.
To get the day off, he burnt his hands to the bone with sulfuric acid, and that gave him the breathing space.
So he rolled his legs up like he rolled those brown cigars, and packed himself in a tobacco box, sent himself up to Philadelphia.
He needed someone to help him, and so it was a white storekeeper who he paid to help him, and the storekeeper was sympathetic to the slave cause and to Henry's cause, and he nailed Henry into the box and had him sent to Philadelphia.
Like Henry Box Brown.
In Philadelphia, there were abolitionists that were expecting the arrival of Henry. You know, the storekeeper had arranged that.
He nailed down the lid. Henry paid his life savings, and in that box he hid.
And who knew if he would get there or not, and if he was caught, that'd be that. He'd be done for. But it was a risk that he had to take, you know.
And when he arrived alive, he said, "Kind sirs, thank you. Henry is my name."
He was forced to escape the USA to England, where he toured with an anti-slavery panorama for about 10 years and travelled all over the country, like almost everywhere in the country. And on his journeys, he met a white English woman, and they married, and he started his second family. He was in England for 25 years before he went back to America. And by that point, he was a showman, and he had a family magic show. And he ended up travelling around being a showman till he died. I picked this story because it was a vehicle of talking about the exploitation that so many people still live and work under.
Like Henry Box Brown.
Henry travelled extensively, touring, talking about slavery, and he said this of his escape, and I quote, "If you have never been deprived of your liberty, as I was, you cannot realize the power of that hope of freedom, which was to me indeed an anchor to the soul, both sure and steadfast."